How's the audio now? Is the audio chopping it up, or are we smooth? Are we smooth? Here we go. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, cool. All right, the wonders of technology. It's tough sometimes. You just kind of feel like I'm flying a helicopter, you know? So it's good, though. Glad you guys are in here to kind of help me navigate the online, the streaming world. It's really uncharted waters, you know? I feel like the video game guys, they do it so good. They make it look so easy. You know, you look at guys like Glad and Astcross, Dr. Disrespect, all these like all-star video game streamers. They just make it look so easy, like there's nothing going on. I'm sure these guys have teams around them helping them. It's a one-man operation here in the Woodshed. I've got lucky enough to have guys that are friends and colleagues. Guys like Chuck, you see him in here moderating. Vidami team in here moderating. Thanks to Vidami for making this happen week after week. But as far as being physically in the room, dude, it's me and some guitars. There's a mandolin. You know, I got a phone here. I got an iPad, and that's what we got. That's how it's rolling. But yeah, I thought maybe we could talk about the new record and the writing process. And how that goes for me. I've been grinding. I don't even know I don't know the right word, but grinding. So, you know, when COVID hit, it was a thing where I started, just making demos, just things that I thought sounded cool, and come downstairs in the middle of the night into the studio, my house upstairs, the studio's downstairs, right? And come down here, and I would just start working away on little ideas. One of the things that is important is never getting caught up in too much production, right? Never worrying about if the tuning of the instrument or the programmed drums or how good the tone is. Like kind of just coming down, leaving guitars out as I do, and if pick it up and tune it to itself and track something, like make something like tracked, right? Just to get an idea down. So I started doing things like that, and I was writing, I had 50 demos, knocked off, 8 or 9 right off the top that I was like, it's not going to happen. So I got it down to like 30 something demos. And that's over the course of the pandemic, right? And the folks that are in my Patreon, I think one of the things that people may not realize until you get in there is my Patreon's very interactive. I spend most of my time there. I make videos and we do a weekly live masterclass on Zoom for folks to join in. And, and even at the upper tiers, you can even get into like one-on-one lessons and things like that, do like over Zoom and Skype, whatever. But the folks in Patreon have kind of seen this thing getting whittled like an old man on a front porch, just whittling away on a stick. They've seen that kind of happen in this process with writing. So I thought I'd hang out this week and talk to you guys about the writing process, because that's what's been really at the forefront of my existence lately. I've set a deadline in my mind on what I want, when I want the album to come out, and with that, who's going to mix it and who's going to play on it and things like that. But before any of that can happen, you got to have the ideas, you got to have the tunes. And there's one thing I talk to you guys. I'm going to start saying you guys, and of course that's guys, girls, whatever. It's this record for me is about, and with every record, it's about furthering my statement, my musical statement. And this record has a lot of motifs, and it's about melody, and it's about hooks and memorable things that happen. Not just so chopsy. It's funny, like the farther I've gone into making records, the chops have, I mean, there's still plenty of things that are difficult to play and things that I regret writing because I have to play them standing up. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. This is so, it's so nice and neat to do these tapping arpeggios when I'm sitting down or whatever. But like the moment I stand up and the guitar's low, I'm like, oh, this sucks to play. But there's of course challenging things about my music. But even with Junktown, it became more about themes. Like I was really thinking about like what are hooks, like for instance, like that's a big hook of the record, and like another big hook of the record, maybe all of these kind of things are moments in the record that I think make the record far more than any of the flashy stuff, right? These are like the hooks, the memorable parts of Junktown. So as I'm stepping into this new album, I'm thinking more and more about those hooks and like what makes a hook, what makes something memorable. Like for instance, when I see players play a lot online, like all of us, I checking Instagram for the hotness that's going on, whatever is in fashion with the kids these days on the internets, and a lot of times I see really fantastic playing, and then later in the day or the next day I go, oh man, how did that go? What was that guy playing? And like the earworm thing isn't there, right? Versus, I just see over here in chat, looks like Samba is saying Steve Morse vibes. We know what Steve Morse sounds like, right? And it's an identity. It's not a lick. It's not a trick. It's an identity, right? It's like a full-on sound that is Steve Morse, regardless if he plays in Deep Purple or Steve Morse Band or Dixie Dregs. Like you could just tell there's just things that make him him, right? And so like I think about my heroes and guys that I look up to, and I can always think of things that's like, yeah, man, that sounds like that. Like it's almost like you can recall something that sounds like them without even playing their song, right? And it's because these massive hooks and melodies are there. And so I've been trying to look introspectively on what makes a hook, like what makes something memorable. Like I remember the first time I heard, I'm going to play it wrong. I'm trying to recall it from memory, but like... The first time I heard that on AT's record, I was like, I was singing it for days, and I didn't have to hear it over and over again. It was just such a massive hook. There's another one. I think it's something like that. Like that in and of itself is so powerful. Like the hook is just so big, right? And so it's been something I've been working on my new record so much. And those that are in the Patreon have got to hear some of the songs from it. But I've been looking at how oftentimes things get non-memorable when you start playing in like these blocks across the fretboard. And like, I'm going to play a lot of notes here. Like whatever the harmony might be, you're playing one note to the next note, and one note to the next note, one note to the next note. And it ends up not being as memorable as thinking about something maybe this way, right? Like, like I'm just trying to make something up in my mind right now on the fly, but that still has that memorable factor, right? And it's about like playing chord tones, obviously, but like where those chord tones lie and what's on the bottom. Like very much almost cinematic in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? The way composers have melodies that remain while something is changing underneath, right? To give it a different flavor. Like if we had, let's say something in the key of G. Now change the root note. Oh, sorry. You know, again. Very evident in like that Star is Born thing. You know, these are simple melodies that kind of just live on the top, and all of this stuff is moving around. And that's a nice tool to use when you guys are trying to maybe write and play guitar at home, and you've at that point where you feel like you're hitting the wall on ideas and you're playing the same licks over and over again. Maybe change what's sitting underneath those licks. You know what I mean? And that's big for me. Like all of these thoughts have been kind of swirling. Like it's interesting because I feel more scatterbrained, but I also feel like my focus is in the middle and all of these ideas are like swirling around it. Like the hook thing, the melody thing, is it strong? Like what's underneath the melody? Can you change that very often? Key changes. Like there's a tune on the new record that's got like I'm going to play it wrong because I don't know it yet. I'm still learning still learning and writing. I was playing it earlier. It's like a little more time. Like that kind of thing. And then it ends up going to kind of got that kind of vibe. And where it's like shifting from like we're playing in this A major thing. Right, and then it's got a little bit of minor. And then I use that F in that progression and its relative minor of D minor to build me to the chorus, which is like, you know. So it's kind of a fun thing, and still, obviously, still working on it. And it kind of has a neat section where it ends up going to 7, where we do the. And it goes into this like kind of like Tool kind of vibe, but like I love a lot of modern rock and Tool and things like that. So I'm trying to pull that in and put like this like Southern spin on it and like what my thing is, and just have little hints of it, you know. So all of this like D minor kind of sound is anchored to A major via F. I'm using F as my tool here to let's see, let me change my angle real quick. Yeah, there we go. So I'm playing out of A major, and then when I go to F, that right there is the functionality to make D minor my chorus. And now that B flat sounds nice to F. Yeah. You know, I don't know. But this is all kind of on my mind. You know, so I figured that might be a cool topic to have this week. Melody, man, it's so freaking powerful. We also, in other hot tasty news, if you don't know, the Woodshed Guitar Experience, the registration is open. We've got some great players. We've got Tom Quell, Martin Miller. We've got Nick Johnston. Awesome. These are, you know, Nick, you talk about a guy that's got really cool melodies. Nick's got some cool melodies. Mark Lettieri, Greg Koch, and still rounding out the rest of the roster. There's other guys that I can't announce yet, but registration's open, woodshedguitarexperience.com. Yeah, going to be fun. And then on March 29th, me and Mark Lettieri are doing a show in East Tennessee in Knoxville at the Jackson Terminal. All my East Tennessee friends, hope to see you there. And yeah, so let's jump into the chat real quick and just take a look at what's going on. Let's see here. I'm going to run over a little bit in our time slot because it took us a minute to get started. So just a heads up. Got some Patreon Woodshed members in the house. Good to see everybody. Lucas, Randy, Jay. See you guys in here. Deacon saying writing is everything and the hardest part. Yeah, exactly, man. That's the thing. It's trying to really enjoy what you're creating and not feeling like, a lot of times I personally feel like, oh, has this got enough stuff in it? And sometimes when I start stripping away the layers, I start liking it more because the melody stands out more without all the stuff on it. Eric Johnson is great at that as well. Yeah, for sure. That's what Dwayne's saying. And I 100% agree. I mean, if you hear anything that I play, it's like, yeah, there you could tell that Eric Johnson is a major influence. Absolutely major influence. Let's see here. Spend some time with Elton John songs. Great melodies. Yeah, man, I agree. I think it was in Patreon we were playing or maybe it was last week on the stream, right? We were doing that one. Right? mean, it's a great melody, a lot of chords, stuff that most guitar players don't lean into because it's moving around with a lot of different key centers. Not a lot of different key centers, but twisting and turning often with those minor changes. I love it. One of my favorite songs for sure. I also love Rocket Man. I know it's maybe oftentimes not cool to like the mega hits, but like when I put on Elton John, I want to hear Benny and the Jets, I want to hear Yellow Brick Road, I want to hear Rocket Man, I want to hear those like mega hits, dude. They're great. They're super popular for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like if they weren't so good, then maybe they wouldn't be so popular. Yeah. Matt's here saying, yeah, it sounds cool. Of the insight on how to use the F chord to switch to minor from A major. Yeah. And Matt, that F chord is I'm leaning into its relative minor. So I'm not switching to A minor. I'm switching into D minor, right? Like from A major. Right? Using F. And then I use G to get me back to A. And that's, even though that sounds like A minor, it's like a C, C on the bottom kind of thing. Kind of fun. Yeah, he's saying already the next Woodshed experience. Yeah, it's coming up in August, man. Going to be a blast, dude. Those have just been so rewarding. Like, I thought that was going to be a fluke thing that we did, and maybe it had its moment in time, but now it's just like, nah, dude, this thing's going to roll. Like, it's a once-a-year chance for music lovers to get together, right? Like, that's the thing. And some great players, some fantastic players. Let's see here. Sorry. Let's go down here. Advise on learning theory. I've never learned it that much. Is it important to become a better player? Gary Marshall, one more time. He says, Andy, would you advise on learning theory? I've never learned it that much. Is it important to become a better player? All right. Talking about education, talking about learning. Great opportunity to talk about this guy right here. Vidami, okay? Vidami can help you tie your theory to the fretboard, right? It's just a tool. Like, it's not going to make you smarter, but it's going to make life easier. Absolutely, the answer is yes. And learning theory, and theory doesn't have to be the thing that's taught in any specific way. I mean, again, it's called music theory. It's disproven very often. If something is art, it doesn't follow certain rules. That's avant-garde music out there. Let's talk about that for a second. If you're trying to learn something like what I've been playing, this thing, maybe you want to learn that riff, and when the album comes out, you'll already have a head start to play along, right? Maybe that's the thing that you're trying to do. What you can do is take your Vidami. Like, I've got the blue right here, right? Take your Vidami. Take this video because I leave these streams up. I leave these up for you guys to rewatch and check out. Grab this moment in the timestamp, right? Or whatever moment you're trying to learn. Take the Vidami, right? And you can loop it right there. You can loop the video. Grab a section, you loop in and out. You step on the button once, boom, loop, step on it again, and then you can slow it down with the speed button. And your guitar never has to leave your lap, okay? So how does this help you learn your theory? It's really easy. You can use the Vidami to figure out where the notes are and the visualization aspect, right? That's all major. You use the Vidami to see that, right? And then as it shifts to the minor, that kind of sound. And then as it goes into that new section, you learn these notes, right? And just use the Vidami to slow it down and memorize where the fingers go. You can see my hand right here in this camera and down here in this camera, right? So you can see my hands and where the notes are. And you can loop that section. One more time, I'm gonna give you something to loop here. right? Just loop that much. That's getting from A to D minor. Use the Vidami to loop that. And then once you've got it under your fingers, you need to start identifying. You hit pause on the Vidami, just stop everything, and identify the chord tones. So there's A, and here's our third. Here's our fifth. So we've got a dominant 7, right? And that's getting us to that chord, to our G. And then when we go to D minor, you can see now the chord tone, that's the third of D minor, right? So 1, 2, 3. And now we got F, and that's the fifth. So the same note is switching from third to fifth, right? So when you're learning your theory, get it under your fingers. Use a tool like Vidami, right, to make things easier to get it under your fingers. And then from there, you can pause the video completely and start inspecting what's happening. For me personally, I'm trying to fly, all right, trying to improvise and play, and I'm trying to fly using intervallic knowledge, right? I'm not so much a caged system. I didn't learn that till later in life, and even then, functionally, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely using it, but it's not like what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, most importantly, where are all my roots, and then I'm thinking about where are all the thirds, right? You know, like right off the top of my head, there's one down there, right? So it's like, to me, I'm trying to think about those things, thirds, fifths, you know, where those things at in the key of A. Dominant 7, so what's that dominant 7? G, right? Know where those are. And now just using those, add in a 2. You know, you got some. Now you've got some cool stuff to use. You start to be able to play freely throughout the. So that's like from one end to the other, like how I would start to learn theory in real time without having to like take a lesson or anything. And then how I would end, like where it would go, where it would start with a visualization. Like I said, using the Vidami to slow something down. One more time, if you want to see the item, here it is. This is what I advise. Great, great tool. I really only associate my brand with things that I like and things that I use. This thing right here is awesome. Also, make sure to give a virtual round of applause because they're the reason that I get to do this every week. They're the ones that are making this happen for you guys, which is awesome. So this tool, I had one before I started working with them, and I love it. And it's great to get things under your fingers. You can, leave it at your feet. And the guitar never leaves your lap, Oftentimes, you like pausing and trying to move things with. I use a trackpad, you know what I mean. So it's like trying to reach up, grab stuff on YouTube, whatever. It's like just clumsy, Versus having something down there that can just control, start, stop. Then most importantly, you stop everything and you zone into your sound, zone into the tone, right? Listening to how that function changes. Listen, when I play that root up top with that third in the bottom, it's got one sound. Now it's got a different sound. We could have flat 5, and it's got a different sound, right? Now it's got a different sound, all the way up. Now I've outlined a 2-5-1. There you go. So somehow we end up at a 2-5-1, right? Yeah, so there you go. Anthony Robinson saying Guthrie Trap ? Guthrie is a good friend. I'd love to have him. I've actually ran it by him, so it's not out of the realm. It's scheduling is really what it is with Guthrie. A little energy drink there goes a long ways. Steely Dan's got a lot of hooks. Yeah. Shout out to the snarky puppy fellas. they're going to be going on tour with Steely Dan, which is incredible. Incredible. Did I see the old, here's Matt chiming in saying, did I see the old Dregs performance videos that Mark O'Connor posted to his YouTube this week? No, I haven't seen that. Holy cow. For those who don't know, Mark O'Connor is world-renowned fiddle player. Amazing. Like the Grammys, the accolades, you could, just everything that one could do. Genre jumping, can play swing, can play jazz, can play everything. He played with the Dixie Dregs for a little bit. I think he played with them for a couple of years. Steve Morse, obviously, for those who don't know the Dixie Dregs, go get that. Incredible stuff. But yeah, so we've got a friend here in the chat saying that Mark O'Connor has posted Dixie Dregs videos, and I cannot wait to watch those. It's going to be amazing. Let's see here. Have I tried to get Danny Rabin? Man, I love Danny Deacon. Danny, actually, I've got some friends that live out, kind of out in the country. They live out in Seymour. And Danny's from Marvin, right? And they were doing house concerts. And so my friends out in the country booked Danny and Marvin to do the house concert in their backyard. And they played a bunch of standards and a bunch of Frank Sinatra. And it was incredible. So good. Gypsy jazz kind of player. So yeah, here's one for you that's off the new record that's got a cool little arpeggio thing inspired by that gypsy jazz. The song's in G minor. That's the kind of like the idea of the tune, right? There's a lick in there that's in the chorus, right? I kind of have these arpeggios. It's kind of like that thing. One more time. And it has this lick that's really fun. Right. So here's that lick one more time. One more time. It's going to be fun. So when you think about that gypsy jazz thing, this is a great way to get from 5 chord in the key of D, using that diminished kind of sound. That thing, right? It's got the Eastern European kind of thing, Godfather-y kind of sound, right? Right. Just playing it faster, right? Kind of a gypsy jazz type of thing. So that's for our friend that was wanting to work on their theory, his lines like that are really nice because if you play a lot of rock and metal, you're kind of dipping into the minor and diminished harmony innately. Like if you play a bunch of Metallica or whatever. Or, if you're really into Yngwie at all, like there's a lot of diminished stuff happening in there. So you could use the that kind of thing. Because most of the time those rock metal kind of arpeggios are repeating. Maybe move it. Yeah. Like. I have no idea what I'm doing, but like you could take that's the rock kind of way of approaching it, right? And then when you add in some little chromatic notes, landing on that third, right? Very cool, very very cool. Pooh Ninja saying throw some thumbs up. Yeah, man, we're gonna throw some thumbs up for sure. Okay. Digging into chat here. A lot of important things over here in the chat. If you're interested in a link code for 15% off on the Vidami, it will be in the description of this video, but it's also right over here into the chat. So if you go over there and check it out, Get you a little discount action. I think it's 10% here. I may have just said 15. I'm sorry if I said that. It's a 10% discount automatic code. And then keeping on rolling, Deacon says Al Di Meola interview on Rick Beato's channel is killer. I'm sure it is. I love Al Di Meola. Let's take a look at some of that Al Di Meola cross picking, right? Like the... I don't know if I'm playing that exactly note for note, but you can check out the right hand here. Really good way to, you think I'm going to see if I can zoom that in a little bit. Here we go. Right. So let's look at this. I'm going to play an A minor 9. I got the groove. I've been tracking guitar, so I'll put this on while I was tracking. That eliminates some of that, any kind of awkward noise. So here's the A minor. Here's the 9 on top. Let's see that. So B, C, E. B, C, E is the thing. Get used to playing alternating, picking up and down one note per string. Being relaxed. I'm so relaxed I can talk to you while I'm doing this, right? And now try ascending it only. Okay, so I'm going to say it one more time. Try ascending it only. It's going to alternate. So it's going to be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Let's turn some delay off. Get it real dry in here. One more time with maybe this one. Now I'm starting to alternate the pattern a little bit, right? So let's take, like, I think the pattern is something to the effect of this. I think it's something like that. Put a little reverb on there. Yeah. Check it out. I know I'm probably paraphrasing that. I haven't heard that record and sat down to study it in a long time. But I listen to it often, and I think it's something to that effect, right? So let's not focus on if it's exactly note for note. Let's just say that this is a good pattern to practice for your cross-picking. One more time. Here we go. So what is it? So it's like some cool stuff there to practice with your picking. Let me zoom this back out. Oh, there's my hand. Whoa, there we go. Cool. Mediterranean Sundance. Yeah, it's a great one. It was Dota says he was learning Egyptian danza today. I've not listened to that one. I need to go in there. It's Newbie chiming in with the $10, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys in the super chat here throwing some money my way. A little beer money, as we say. Just want to say how grateful I am and others. Contribution to the community. Question. Favorite recorded guitar tone ever. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple because it's not really fair to say there's one because there's like one for different genres. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I think of acoustic guitar tone, probably Tony Rice, Church Street Blues. That's pretty pretty godly. Like that and Manzanita, those acoustic guitar tones are pretty godly. Favorite rock tone, Eddie Van Halen on the Live Right Here, Right Now. That would also be the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Like that tone is just, it's everything. Like that's the business to me. I would think Eric Johnson's Avia Musicom, without saying. Shred tone. The tone that Vi got in the Crossroads Duel, that tone is pretty amazing for a shred tone, in my opinion. The Jack Butler sequence, like it's got this perfect amount of like stereo delay, but it's like tight sounding. I would think Andy Timmons' Resolution tone would be way up there. For country and chicken picking, I would think Jimmy Olander's tone from Diamond Rio, especially into the Unbelievable album. Also on the very first album, the very first Diamond Rio album has got some great Telecaster tone. I would think Brent Mason on I'm in Love with You Baby and Don't Even Know Your Name. That Alan Jackson tone. Yeah, that's up there. That's top tier, God tier Telecaster tone. For jazz tone, George Benson, because it's not so muddy. You know, a lot of the old school jazz cats had a real woolly, muddy kind of tone. George had a little more sass in it, and played just a little. There was a little something crispy going on. It wasn't just like completely rolled off. Like, let's see. It wasn't that like that thing. Like he had a little more of that crisp. Like just a little more stuff happening. Like there was a little more something. I don't know what it is. A little more something up top in the crispy range. I think Dan Huff with some of his Strat tones are just unbelievable. Jeff Beck on Emotion Commotion, where he's doing Nessun Dorma, max level God tier. Let's shift into metal, like really heavy metal. I think End of a Heartache, Killswitch Engage. Like, I think that was like this pinnacle moment. A lot of modern metal is a little super hyper edited for my personal taste. I don't like it when it gets that hyper edited MIDI file kind of thing. I don't really like that much. I think Killswitch still sounded like dudes that were tracking, like, you know, in a room. It wasn't so hyper edited. And that tone is just incredible. I think that's way up there for me. All right, Dark Horse, you ready for this? Some of the best guitar tones ever recorded. This is the moment where everybody turns the stream off. Nickelback on the record that had Photograph on it, and the record after that, Dark Horse. Those guitar tones are massive. And everybody turns off the stream and hates me forever, and now I'm canceled. I get it. I've thought about doing a video, but like why Nickelback doesn't suck, you know, and that the production on those guitars is amazing. Neck pickup tone. Let's talk about Strat tones. Stevie Ray Vaughan, amazing tone. I would also put Slash on the Use Your Illusion albums, like You Could Be Mine. Yes. November Rain, Estranged. Yes. Big yes on those. And for prog tone, for progressive, like shreddy stuff, John Petrucci, Glasgow Kiss, Train of Thought era, John Petrucci is just absolutely incredible. Incredible guitar tone. Like max level, love it. So good. Okay. And then outside of that, of course, we can get into things like Gary Moore, I think we could go there pretty easily with great tones, and we could probably spend the next 3 hours talking about great tones. So yeah, thank you for the question, newbie. Thank you for the beer money. Appreciate it, man. Eddie's tone, unlawful carnal knowledge. Yeah, absolutely. Tender surrender tone. Okay. And we haven't talked about slide tone. With slide tone, it's got to be Derek Trucks. It's got to be Dwayne Allman. Eat a Peach, Fillmore. Yeah. Gotta have, like, I think Dwayne, is there. I also say, Hendrix. Like, Hendrix, Band of Gypsies, are you experienced? I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Deacon. Danny Gatton had some really odd tones. They were cool for him. I don't really, it was never anything for me, Rabia is like a modern cat, which is kind of cool for heavy tones. Yeah. DOD grunge pedal, obviously. But yeah, Rabia is a beast. Rabia, if you see this, man, props to you. Doing the right thing. John Sykes, 1987. I back that all day long. I got to say, when it comes to rock tones, you got to go Doug Aldrich. Doug has incredible tone. I would also say, if it had to be 3 rock tones that kind of are everything for me, it would be Billy Gibbons / Eddie Van Halen. Like those 3 dudes. Not a specific tone, but at any moment in time, if you went to Billy Gibbons / or Eddie Van Halen for like what I consider rock tone, not metal, but like rock. Those are 2 different things, right? Because the tones that they get wouldn't sound good with Killswitch Engage. The tones that Killswitch get wouldn't sound good with them. And I'll tell you this, another dark horse that a lot of people might hate me for, I'm going to go Avenged Sevenfold. Some fabulous, weird, scooped, first 2 records, City of Evil and the cover with the white one, with the white and the black skull bat thing. Those 2 records, incredible tone. Like, I love those records. I think they sound great. For me, it's about how the tone sits in a mix, how it interacts with the kick drum, how it interacts with the bass, how where the vocals sit. A lot of times, a mistake that guys get, and let's talk about like Motley Crue for a second, like with some of my favorite tones. A lot of guys, when we sit and we practice, the community, the proverbial we're sitting and practicing and we're dialing in tones with tons of gain, tons of low end, tons of effects, because we're by ourselves. And all of this stuff makes it seem like more is more, as Ingve says, right? Unfortunately, when you start putting that into a mix, it starts sounding like crap and it starts sounding like muddy, mushy nothing, right? Excuse me. So a lot of times I like to find on YouTube the isolated tracks and stuff. If you ever hear the like isolated guitars to Dr. Feelgood, they're like this big. They're the tiniest, fizziest little guitars on Dr. Feelgood, but they sound perfect with Nikki Sixx's bass. And when you hear that, it's like that. It's like the end result is what matters. So in that aspect, I would say those guitars are absolutely perfect, because if they were big and chunky Killswitch guitar tones, it would turn into nothing. Like, it would just be too much rolling around. It wouldn't have that like sleaze that Dr. Feelgood. I mean, like, you don't know how much I love it. Right there it is, dude. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Look, this is how much I love that tone. It's so good. And that record is all about Tommy's drums and Nikki's bass playing. Like, I'm so glad I haphazardly was wearing a Motley Crue t-shirt, because it's like verifies my fandom. And unplanned cool stuff. Lucas says Seven Dust has some great sounding records too. Absolutely. And I don't know, Lucas, if you saw the other day who joined the Patreon and chimed in, none other than Clint Lowry is in there hanging out with us in the Woodshed. So maybe we could get him to be a guest on our masterclass and have him talk about some Seven Dust stuff. That would be amazing. Yeah, they do have great tones. For metal, it's also how much about it is with producers producing those records. Like Mark Lewis is a really great producer, gets some really great tones. If you're into like the super evil death metal stuff, his stuff that he's done with Whitechapel is pretty incredible as far as sonically, just love it. Yeah, Deacon saying EVH got a lot from Billy Gibbons. I mean, like, I think Tres Hombres might be some of the greatest guitars ever recorded. They sound perfect. Like, that is rock and roll perfection. If you want to know what perfect guitar sounds like, Tres Hombres. Yeah. Ginu says, I am your fan from Japan. Well, it's good to have you hanging out with us. I want to be able to play Emergence Day someday. I tell you what, I tell you what, I will put that up. I will find a backing track for that. I will isolate that out, upload it for you, and put that out on my Patreon. And I will also get maybe Levi or Luke or one of those guys to transcribe that so you can have that for yourself. I don't really play that tune live anymore, but it was on my first record, and I appreciate the kind words. That was a little more of my metal, the wonders of youth, a little more metal era. You got to go Angus for sure. I would also say Def Leppard for great guitar tones. Hysteria, unbeatable. Anything Mutt Lange touches as a producer, that's Back in Black, that's Hysteria. Even the record, the Dark Horse record that he produced for Nickelback, Shania Twain, great guitar tones on those Shania Twain records. Amazing. A lot of times people see the artist and they're like, oh, I don't like that. They don't realize how much really great guitar playing is in that. Aaron P., how you doing, brother? Sounds like we got straight. Yeah, we're hanging out. Got a great start. We got Phil Jam here. Question for Phil. Any recommendation for a reasonably priced amp for pedals? You know what, Phil? Yes, I have a great recommendation. Fender Blues Jr. They're cheap and they're awesome. Change the speaker though. Put a different speaker in there. Something like a Celestion Gold. Something like a Classic Lead 80. I love a Classic Lead 80 in a Fender amp. I think it sounds awesome. I use Classic Lead 80. You know, I've got one Boogie 212 cabinet. It's got Classic Lead 80s in it. Love it. Killer situation. So yeah, and you can score a Blues Junior for, gosh, a few $100. Hey Moonshine, how you doing? Just joined. Hope you didn't miss much. You didn't miss much. You know, you didn't. We're hanging out, talking a little bit of tone here. Talked a little bit of theory. Got right around 100 concurrent viewers, and that means thanks to Vidami for putting on the live stream here and hanging out with us. This is a great tool. Leave the guitar in your lap. Put this at your feet. Put it at your feet. You can pause stuff. You can loop it. You could slow it down. And you never have to touch the stupid keyboard or the mouse because that's dumb. Step on it. Use a pedal. It's great. Vidami also doesn't just work with YouTube, works with TrueFire, Jamplay, Patreon videos, of course, all that good stuff. Eric says Hysteria was recorded direct into a Rockman, insane tones from what was essentially a toy. Yeah, exactly. Those Rockmans were so popular, so freaking popular. And you know, I recently saw Def Leppard on tour. It's not recent now. I feel like I say that, but I forgot we had a pandemic. I saw them right before pandemic when they were touring with Tesla and Poison, and they were using Axe-Fx. It sounded unbelievable. Sounded so good. So good. Quarantine saying give it away. You know what? Maybe we do a giveaway. That's not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind to do a giveaway on the old Vidami. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Master of Puppets is super, super huge. Great tone. Alan Chief's here. Alan's saying, just curious, besides Brent Mason, myself, Danny Gatton, any hybrid of chicken pickers I should check out and learn from? Yeah, Jimmy Olander from Diamond Rio. buy every Diamond Rio record, and just get your face melted by how good his Telecaster playing is. Brad Paisley, if you like the modern kind of newer Nashville thing. Keith Urban, from his era with, what was it called? The Ranch. He had a great instrumental in there called Cluster Plucked. I would also recommend John Jorgensen and the Helicasters. John had a great run as a session player in Nashville, and fabulous telly player. Definitely check them out. So Jimmy Olander, John Jorgensen, no brainers, right? James Mitchell in Nashville, fabulous telly player. The Helicasters, and just in general. Michael Johnson saying, who is someone I would love to jam with, but I haven't yet? Who would I love to jam with and I've not been able to? If I could look across the stage and jam with anybody, I would love to jam with Tedeschi Trucks. Like, be invited up on their stage for a jam, or the Allman Brothers, something like that would be amazing. I think if Billy Strings wanted to jam, that would be fun, because he's wavering between bluegrass and Grateful Dead. I think that would be a fun hang. I'm trying to think who else would be fun to jam with that I haven't yet. Dave Matthews Band, for some reason, I think that would be fun. Widespread Panic. I like all of those like open-ended kind of jam groups. I think all of those would be fun. I would love to play anything with Steve Lukather on the stage. It's like, he's incredible. I think basically anybody you might want to jam with is who I would like to jam with too. Yeah, I think those would be fun though. Those are the first ones that come to mind. Definitely, it would be like the Allman Brothers-y. That would be super fun. Like anybody in that camp. I would love to play bluegrass with the Del McCurry Band. So Ronnie or any of you guys from Del McCurry Band, I want to come play one song. Let's just play Daybreak and Dixie or 9 Pound Hammer or something like that. Will Hoss. Like, I want to play that with you guys. That would be super fun. Tom here is saying, I have a Hot Rod Deluxe. I'd gladly trade it for a Blues Junior. The Hot Rod is really nice, but a little too loud and less pedal friendly. All right, Tom, I want to acknowledge something. The Hot Rod's great with pedals, but it has to be loud. So I recommend the Boss Waza attenuator. Get that thing, put that thing on your Deluxe or your Hot Rod, and crank that attenuation down and turn the amp up, and then just let it eat. That way you can play at speaking volumes, but the amp's pushing and doing its work. Right now, what you guys are hearing is my amp, my Bella. Here's just the amp and some pedals. Here's the gearbox on it. That's just the gearbox. So that's just the Bella and the Deluxe. Now I'm using a universal audio aux to where the amp can be super loud and the aux can attenuate it and go into my interface, and it is also providing delay and reverb, and I'm controlling that from my iPad. So as I turn on delay and reverb, it's happening here, and the aux is behind the computer, providing the load. So obviously, when I play by myself with no delay on, I made the tone darker, but with delay, I make the tone brighter. Maybe we play a song. Let's just play one of my songs. I'm trying to get back in shape here, and I haven't been playing my stuff very often. So let's just play one. Which one we do? What do you want me to do? We do maybe Forgotten Secrets? Let's try that one. Let's see. Try this level. Actually, that's way too loud. I don't know how that's, let's see. Let's try that one more time. I'm just going to pause it and get the level right. So loud. There we go, that's better. Better on the level, right? One more notch. Just being dumb. Just being dumb. Cool stuff in that one, though. All right. Let's see what we got here. Jay's saying reactive loads are one of the biggest game changers in the last decade. Best investments. Love those things for sure. Deacon says he wants to see me with Steve Morse. Dude, I would love to jam. I would love to play that. Seriously. Like, I'd love to play that with Steve Morse. That'd be awesome. You know, of course, Too Many Notes. I'd love to play that with Steve Morse, too. Okay, Ted C. is it Waza around 1500s? To make a 500-ish HRD sound better. Don't get me wrong. I love my Hot Rod Deluxe. So, Ted, I would think of it this way. The Waza is 1500, but it's more than just trying to make the amp sound good. The Waza will allow you to record into your DAW. The Waza is going to work with half stacks. I would look at the Waza as something that would stay with you. And this goes for the aux. This goes for the Sir reactive load. A lot of these things, they're going to be able to stay with you depending on which amp you get. And I have all three. I have a reactive load. I've got the Waza and the aux. And I love all three. And it's for different reasons, right? It's not so much I need $1,500 to make a $500 amp sound good. That's not really the way to think about it. Like the little rev behind me is, it's not a very expensive amplifier, but I still like to wind it up all the way, and I want to use the attenuators to bring the volumes down. Yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts on it, Ted. Let's see what we got here. Oh, a lot of people saying you're crazy. I was just having fun, just being dumb. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us. Maybe we play one more. Play one more tune. I don't know. What's another one we could do? Flooded Mind? I don't know. Let's just play Flooded Mind. I'm still kind of getting back in shape. I haven't been playing much on the old. choppy on the end. Who cares? I messed up. We'll get them next time. Fun stuff, though. All right, man. All right. I wish I'd have had that last lick that I wanted at the end. I wish I'd have nailed that. Yeah, there we go. Anyways. Yeah, so all I'm doing in that, if anybody's even curious, is I'm trying to play those pentatonics like elongated, you know. And it's, you know, with no thing on the end because I want to have the open strings to play the melody. That thing. And I like to have... So it makes a lot of the tapping stuff. You got to be really crispy clean with the muting or you'll have a bunch of stuff ringing out, you know. Anyways, please make a video of you playing Till You Put Me Down by Richie Kotzen. Thanks, man. Just listen to Richie play it, you know. I think that's the answer. He does a fine job on that song. Tone King is a great attenuator, is what Anthony Robinson says. Killing it as usual. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for hanging out. Anthony's saying Johnny Highland for sure. Is that a Blackface Deluxe to the right? Too low of a resolution on the phone. Can't read it. Absolutely. Right here, we have one of the greatest amplifiers. This is my favorite amplifier I own. This is the crown jewel in the collection. This is an original 1963 Deluxe Reverb. The real deal, not a reissue, and it looks so good. It's in such great shape. I paid way too much for it because it was in such great shape. It had the slip cover and the original parts and components and the hang tag where it was sold new for $400. Obviously, I did not pay $400 for it, but yep. That is the lovely Deluxe Reverb. Maybe next week we crank that thing up and pick some chickens. Maybe do some stuff like that. What time is it? Oh my gosh, we have been going over, which is okay. Sometimes just gets excited and want to start playing some tunes or whatever and jamming a little bit. Thanks for hanging out, everyone, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Tuning in weekly here on the old Vidami live from the Woodshed. One more time, give it up for Vidami. Make some noise. You can use this to loop, slow down, pause, select the part of the tune, loop in and out. You go forwards and backwards, upside down, sideways, all kinds of things. Check that thing out. Go to Vidami.com. Use the promo code that we've got in the chat. If you scroll up, you'll see promo code. Look over in the chat, and Vidami is one of our moderators today. You get a 10% discount code. I can't speak. 10% discount code, and that'll help you save a little cash. That's Woodshed Live 10. And, you know, let everyone at Vidami know that you saw the stream, which is fun. Always a good time. Hello, Cuba. We've got Eulaber from Cuba. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Thank you guys, as always. And let's see, a little housekeeping. What do I need to talk about that I've not said? Yeah, Woodshed Guitar Experience. I can't stress it enough, man. We only got 125 openings. Okay? That's it. We do 125. That's it. No more. So if you're interested in coming to hang out with Tom Quayle, Nick Johnston, Mark Letary, Martin Miller, Greg Koch, myself, fabulous players, fabulous. 3 days in lovely Middle Tennessee, about an hour outside of Nashville. Go to woodshedguitarexperience.com. If you're interested in taking part in weekly live Zoom masterclasses, think of it like a clinic that you can do from your house, like live Q&A, Zoom call style. You go over to patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. If you want any backing tracks, tablatures, tones, all of these types of items that you may procure from the internet. That's going to go at andywoodmusic.com. So thanks for hanging out, guys. We appreciate you so much. And I will see you next week. I need to start saying same wood time, same wood channel, right? Thanks for hanging out. Cheers to all my lovely Woodshed members, Jay, Randy, Lucas, all you guys that we see in here. Thanks for hanging out. And cheers to all you newcomers. Appreciate you. We'll see you next